A tech CEO invites his divorced wife to his wedding, but she came with a girl who looks like him. As 300 elite guests turned to stare, Marcus's bride froze at the altar. His mother gasped audibly, and Zara simply whispered loud enough for everyone to hear. "Marcus, meet Arya, the daughter you never knew existed." What would you do if your entire world collapsed in front of 300 witnesses? Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Warm welcome to the family. Enjoy the story. When 24-year-old tech billionaire Marcus Blackwood sent his ex-wife Zara an invitation to his lavish wedding, he expected her to decline or cause a scene. Nothing prepared him for what happened when she walked into his $5 million ceremony wearing a stunning emerald dress, holding the hand of a 7-year-old girl with his exact blue eyes, brown hair, and that unmistakable Blackwood smile. As 300 elite guests turned to stare, Marcus's bride froze at the altar, his mother gasped audibly, and Zara simply whispered loud enough for everyone to hear. "Marcus, meet Arya, the daughter you never knew existed." Have you ever wondered what would happen if your biggest secret walked into the most important day of your life? Have you ever kept a truth so powerful it could destroy everything someone built? This is the story of a man who thought he controlled everything until his past knocked on the door of his future. What would you do if your entire world collapsed in front of 300 witnesses? If you think you know how this ends, think again. Stick around because what happens next will leave you questioning everything you think you know about love, power, and the price of success. Now, let me take you back to where it all began, just 48 hours before the most expensive wedding disaster in Silicon Valley history. Marcus Blackwood stood in his $15 million penthouse, surveying his kingdom through floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked San Francisco Bay. At 24, he commanded a $2 billion AI empire, owned 7 supercars, and wore suits that cost more than teachers' annual salaries. Yet as wedding planners buzzed around his marble-floored living room like expensive bees, something felt hollow inside his chest. "Mr. Blackwood, the ice sculptures will arrive at 6 a.m. sharp," chirped Elena, his lead wedding coordinator, clutching her gold tablet. "The champagne tower requires 400 bottles of Dom Perignon, and the fireworks display will last exactly 12 minutes. Marcus nodded absently, his attention focused on the guest list spread across his Italian leather desk. 300 names. Tech titans, Hollywood celebrities, political powerhouses, everyone who mattered in his carefully constructed world. Everyone except the people who might actually care if he lived or died. "Victoria wants the white roses replaced with peonies," Elena continued, something about them photographing better for Vogue. His fiancée, beautiful, blonde, and born into venture capital royalty, Victoria Sterling possessed the perfect pedigree for a tech mogul's wife. Stanford MBA, family connections reaching into every boardroom that mattered, and the kind of beauty that photographed well at charity galas. Their relationship operated like a business merger, strategic, profitable, and completely devoid of genuine passion. "Whatever Victoria wants," Marcus replied, his voice carrying the boredom of a man who'd stopped caring about his own wedding details. The penthouse buzzed with activity. Florists arranged massive displays. Security teams tested communication equipment, and caterers reviewed menus designed to impress rather than nourish. Marcus owned everything he'd ever dreamed of, yet felt like a prisoner in his own success. His phone buzzed. Victoria's name flashed across the screen. "Darling, the stylist wants to know about your pocket square color." Her voice tinkled through the speaker. "I'm thinking platinum to match my jewelry." "Perfect," Marcus said, ending the call before she could elaborate on her jewelry choices. Elena appeared at his elbow again. "Sir, we need final approval on the guest list. Security requires 24 hours notice for background checks." Marcus scanned the names one final time. His eyes stopped on the very last entry, added just yesterday in a moment of cruel impulse. Zara Williams. His ex-wife. The woman he'd crushed during their divorce, who disappeared from Silicon Valley like smoke after a fire. A twisted smile played across his lips. Let her see what she'd lost. Let her witness his triumph with Victoria, his perfect life, his complete success without her. Some wounds deserved to be reopened, especially when you held the knife. He signed a list with a flourish, sealing both their fates. 3,000 miles away, Zara Williams sat in her small Boston marketing office, the glow of her laptop screen illuminating tired eyes that had once sparkled with Silicon Valley dreams. At 25, she looked older, not from age, but from the weight of raising a child alone while rebuilding a life from ashes. "Mommy, can we get pizza tonight?" 7-year-old Arya bounced through the office door, her school backpack nearly as big as her tiny frame. She possessed Marcus's distinctive blue eyes and that same charismatic smile that could charm anyone within seconds. "We had pizza Tuesday, remember?" Zara saved her client presentation and closed the laptop. "How about grilled cheese? We can make them into heart shapes." Arya's face lit up. "Can I help flip them?" "Of course, baby." They walked home through Boston's autumn streets, Arya chattering about her day, while Zara listened with the focused attention of a mother who understood that childhood passed too quickly. Their small apartment wasn't much: 2 bedrooms, outdated appliances, furniture from discount stores. But it felt more like home than the Silicon Valley mansion ever had. While Arya did homework at their kitchen table, Zara prepared dinner with practiced efficiency. Every meal was planned, every dollar stretched, every decision made with her daughter's future in mind. The life insurance settlement from her parents' accident had provided a small safety net, but raising a child alone in an expensive city required constant vigilance. "Mommy, why don't I have a daddy like other kids?" Arya asked suddenly, her pencil hovering over math problems. The question hit Zara like a physical blow, the same way it did every time Arya asked. How do you explain that her father was one of the most famous men in America, that he'd thrown them away like broken toys, that he didn't even know she existed? "Some families are different, sweetheart. We have each other, and that's pretty special. But what if my daddy wants to meet me someday?" Zara's heart shattered a little more. "Would you want to meet him?" "Maybe, if he's nice, if he likes science like me." After dinner, after bedtime stories, after Arya finally fell asleep clutching her stuffed robot, Zara sat alone at her kitchen table staring at the wedding invitation that had arrived 3 days ago. Thick, expensive paper, gold embossing, a photograph of Marcus and his new fiancée looking like magazine models. The invitation felt like a final slap. Marcus's way of showing her how completely he'd moved on, how utterly he'd erased their shared past. But as she studied his face in the photo, all she could see was Arya's smile looking back at her. Her daughter deserved to know her father, even if that father had become someone Zara barely recognized. Zara reached for her phone and booked 2 plane tickets to San Francisco. Saturday morning, 24 hours before the wedding. San Francisco's Union Square buzzed with weekend shoppers and tourists, the kind of organized chaos that made accidental encounters feel like destiny. Marcus emerged from his Tesla outside Neiman Marcus, designer sunglasses shielding his eyes from both paparazzi and sunlight. His security detail flanked him as he strode toward the store's VIP entrance. Final tuxedo fitting. Final preparations for tomorrow's performance. 2 blocks away, Zara held Arya's hand as they window shopped along the same street. They'd flown in that morning, staying at a modest hotel near the airport. Now Arya pressed her nose against toy store windows, while Zara tried to calm her racing heart. Being back in the city felt like returning to a crime scene. "Can we go in there, Mommy?" Arya pointed to a high-end children's boutique. "We're just looking today, baby." But Arya had already pushed through the glass doors, drawn by displays of velvet dresses and tiny designer shoes. Zara followed, immediately aware of how their discount store clothes stood out among the boutique's wealthy clientele. 3 floors above them, Marcus stood on a pedestal while his tailor adjusted his tuxedo jacket. Through the store's windows, he could see crowds moving along the sidewalk below, anonymous faces living anonymous lives he no longer understood. "Perfect fit, Mr. Blackwood," the tailor said. "You'll be the most photographed groom of the year." Marcus barely heard him. Something about the street scene below had caught his attention, though he couldn't identify what. Zara was helping Arya try on an emerald green dress when her phone rang. Unknown number. Is this Zara Williams? The voice was crisp, professional. Yes, this is Catherine Morrison from the San Francisco Chronicle. We understand you receive an invitation to tomorrow's Blackwood wedding. Would you care to comment? Zara's blood turned cold. I have no comment. She ended the call, her hands shaking. How do they know? How had the media already connected her to Marcus? Mommy, this dress makes me look like a princess, Arya said, twirling in the emerald fabric. Looking at her daughter in that dress, Zara made a decision that would change 3 lives forever. We'll take it. As they left the boutique, Marcus's motorcade pulled away from the curb just 50 feet ahead of them. For one brief moment, their paths intersected on the busy sidewalk, close enough to touch, separated by 3 years of silence and a secret that could destroy everything. Neither saw the other. Yet, Sunday afternoon, the Cathedral of St. Mary stood like a monument to wealth and power, its soaring spires reaching toward heaven while 300 of America's most influential people gathered on earth below. Security teams with earpieces scanned the crowd. Photographers captured every arriving limousine. This wasn't just a wedding, it was the social event of the decade. Marcus stood at the altar in his custom tuxedo, hands clasped behind his back, projecting the confidence that had made him a billionaire. His mother sat in the front row, wearing diamonds worth more than most houses. Tech executives filled the pews like a who's who of Silicon Valley power. Everything was perfect. Everything was controlled. Victoria began her walk down the aisle, a vision in white silk and French lace. Her $50,000 dress trailed behind her like liquid moonlight. The string quartet played flawlessly. Cameras flashed. This moment would be featured in every major magazine, cementing Marcus's status as tech royalty. But as Victoria reached the halfway point, the cathedral's heavy wooden doors creaked open. Sunlight streamed through the entrance, silhouetting 2 figures against the brightness. A woman in an emerald dress that seemed to capture every ray of light. And beside her, a small girl in a matching outfit, her brown hair gleaming, her blue eyes wide with wonder at the grandeur surrounding her. The whispers started immediately. Heads turned. Phones lifted. Marcus felt his smile freeze as recognition hit him like a physical blow. Zara. She walked down the aisle with quiet dignity, her head held high, one hand gently guiding Arya beside her. The child looked around with innocent curiosity, unaware that 300 pairs of eyes were studying her face, noting the unmistakable resemblance to the man standing frozen at the altar. Victoria stopped walking. Her bouquet trembled in her hands. Marcus's mother audibly gasped, her diamond necklace catching the light as her hand flew to her throat. The string quartet faltered, their perfect harmony dissolving into confused silence. Zara reached the front of the cathedral and stopped. The emerald dress made her skin glow, her natural beauty undimmed by 3 years of struggle. But it was the child beside her who commanded every breath in the room. Arya possessed Marcus's exact eyes, that distinctive shade of blue that photographers always captured in magazine covers. Her smile was a smile. Her confident posture, even at 7 years old, radiated the same charisma that had built empires. "Marcus," Zara said, her voice carrying clearly through the cathedral's perfect acoustics. "Meet Arya, a daughter you never knew existed." The silence that followed was deafening. Victoria's bouquet hit the marble floor with a sound like breaking glass. Marcus's carefully constructed world began crumbling in real time, broadcast live on social media by 300 witnesses who would never forget the moment a tech billionaire's secret walked into his wedding wearing emerald green. Arya smiled and waved at her father, completely unaware she'd just changed everything. The most expensive wedding in Silicon Valley history was over before it began. Chaos erupted in St. Mary's Cathedral like a dam bursting. Guests leaped to their feet, phones recording every second of the billionaire's public humiliation. Victoria's father stormed toward the altar, his face purple with rage. Security guards spoke rapidly into their earpieces, unsure whether to treat this as a threat or a family matter. Marcus couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The child standing 15 feet away possessed his mother's chin, his father's nose, and eyes that were unmistakably Blackwood blue. Every photographer in the room was capturing this moment, knowing they'd witnessed the scandal of the decade. Everyone out. Marcus's voice cut through the pandemonium like a blade. Clear the cathedral. Now, his security team moved with military precision, herding confused guests toward the exits. Victoria fled without a word, her wedding dress trailing behind her like a white flag of surrender. Within minutes, the sacred space that had hosted hundreds now contained only Marcus, Zara, Arya, and the echo of shattered dreams. Marcus descended from the altar, his movements sharp with barely controlled fury. "What kind of sick game is this?" "No game," Zara replied, her voice steady despite the trembling in her hands. "Just truth." "Truth?" Marcus laughed bitterly. "You destroy my wedding, humiliate me in front of everyone who matters, and call it truth." Arya stepped closer to her mother, sensing the adult's anger without understanding its source. "Mommy, why is everyone upset?" "It's okay, baby," Zara whispered, then looked directly at Marcus. "She's 7 years old. Do the math." The implication hit Marcus like a physical blow. 7 years old. Their divorce had been finalized 7.5 years ago, but they'd been separated for months before that. The timeline was devastatingly clear. "You're lying," he said, but his voice lacked conviction. Zara reached in her purse and pulled out a folded document. Birth certificate, DNA test results, medical records. Everything you need to verify what your eyes are already telling you. Marcus stared at the papers without taking them. Arya's resemblance to him wasn't subtle. It was like looking at childhood photographs of himself, but with longer hair and in a dress. The same stubborn jawline, the same way of tilting her head when confused, the same unconscious confidence in her posture. "Why now?" he demanded. "Why wait 7 years to drop this bomb?" "Because I hope you become someone worthy of knowing her," Zara said quietly. "But watching you these past few years, seeing how you've treated people, how you've prioritized image over everything else, I realized I was protecting her from you, not from the world." "Then why are you here?" Zara's composure cracked slightly. "Because she asks about you. Because she's brilliant and curious and deserves to know where half her DNA comes from. Because despite everything you've become, you're still her father." Arya tugged on Marcus's tuxedo jacket. "Are you really my daddy?" Marcus looked down at this child, his child, and felt something shift inside his chest. Not love, not yet, but recognition. The same intensity in her gaze that he saw in mirrors. The same fearless directness that had built his empire. "I don't know," he said honestly, "but we're going to find out." Within 30 minutes of the cathedral confrontation, Marcus Blackwood's name was trending worldwide. #BillionaireBaby dominated Twitter. Instagram exploded with blurry photos of Arya taken through church windows. Tech blogs crashed from traffic as everyone tried to break the story first. Tech Titan's secret daughter crashes wedding, screamed the New York Post. Blackwood's billion-dollar baby mama drama, announced TMZ. In his penthouse, Marcus watched his life become entertainment for millions. His phone buzzed constantly, board members, investors, lawyers, and reporters all demanding explanations he didn't have. The wedding vendors were threatening lawsuits. The cathedral was demanding compensation for the disruption. Victoria's family had already issued a statement calling the entire situation a calculated attack on their daughter's reputation. Across town, Zara sat in her hotel room with Arya, trying to shield her daughter from the media frenzy while reporters pounded on their door. Someone had leaked their hotel information. Paparazzi crowded the lobby. Local news vans lined the street outside. "Mommy, why are there so many people with cameras?" Arya asked, peeking through the blackout curtains. "Sometimes grown-ups get very interested in other people's business," Zara said carefully. "We just need to stay inside for a little while." Her phone rang constantly. Offers from talk shows, tabloids, and documentary producers. Everyone wanted to buy their story, to turn their pain into profit. Delete, delete, delete. Marcus's legal team had already sent a cease and desist letter demanding she stop exploiting their client's image. His PR firm was working overtime to spin the narrative, painting Zara as a gold digger who'd waited 7 years to cash in on his success. But the photos didn't lie. Aria's resemblance to Marcus was so obvious that even his harshest critics couldn't deny the biological connection. Genetic experts appeared on news shows, analyzing facial structure comparisons. Former classmates from Harvard sold stories about Marcus and Zara's whirlwind romance. The tech world's golden couple was being dissected in real time. Victoria Sterling's social media went dark. Her father threatened to pull funding from 3 of Marcus's biggest competitors unless he handled the situation immediately. The venture capital community was treating the scandal like a contagious disease, profitable to discuss, but dangerous to touch. Marcus's company stock dropped 12% in after-hours trading. By midnight, professional reputation management firms were fielding calls from both sides. Image consultants quoted 6-figure fees to control the narrative. Legal experts predicted custody battles that would make celebrity divorces look civilized. But in a modest hotel room, a 7-year-old girl fell asleep wondering if a man in a fancy suit really was her daddy, and if he might like to read her bedtime story someday. The storm was just beginning, but at its center sat a child who only wanted to know where she came from. Monday morning brought no relief. Marcus sat in his company's boardroom, facing 12 stone-faced executives who controlled his empire's future. The mahogany table reflected their grim expressions like a mirror of corporate judgment. "This is a disaster," announced CFO Richard Shun, sliding a tablet across the table. Stock down 18%. 3 major clients threatening to pull contracts. The Singapore deal is dead. Board member Patricia Hawkins leaned forward. "We need damage control, not denial." The child's resemblance is undeniable. Every news outlet is running genetic comparison software. "So what exactly are you suggesting?" Marcus asked, though he already knew. "Public paternity test," said General Counsel David Kim. "If she's yours, controlled acknowledgement with strict custody limitations. If she's not, full legal action against the mother for fraud and defamation." Marcus's assistant knocked and entered, her face pale. "Sir, Victoria Sterling is here. She says it's urgent." Victoria entered wearing all black like she was attending a funeral. Perhaps she was. Her perfect composure had cracked, replaced by something harder and more calculating. "We need to talk," she said, dismissing the board with a look. When they were alone, Victoria's mask fell completely. "My father is furious. Our family's merger was supposed to be strategic, not a public relations nightmare. Victoria, I'm sorry about yesterday." "Sorry." Her laugh was bitter. "Marcus, you don't understand. This isn't about hurt feelings. This is about power, about alliances, about everything we've built together." She pulled out her phone, showing him a carefully crafted Instagram post that hadn't been published yet. Photos of them together, romantic captions, a narrative of their perfect love story. "We can fix this," she said. Joint statement denying the child's paternity. Claim the ex-wife is mentally unstable. "My father's connections can make her disappear from public discourse entirely. And if she really is my daughter?" Victoria's expression turned ice cold. "Then you choose, her or me, this fantasy family or your real future. Because I won't be married to a man who legitimizes bastard children for publicity." Meanwhile, Zara was having her own impossible conversation with her sister on the phone. "Come home," Lisa pleaded from Boston. "Bring Aria back before this gets worse. You don't owe him anything. I owe Aria the truth about her father. Even if that father destroys your life, look at what they're saying about you online. Gold digger, opportunist, homewrecker." Zara had seen the comments, the cruel assumptions, the character assassination disguised as news analysis. "He's still her father," she whispered. "Is he? Because the Marcus I'm seeing on TV looks nothing like the man you once loved." That evening, alone in his penthouse, Marcus stared at 2 business cards. one for Victoria's crisis management team, one from a private investigator who specialized in making problems disappear. Both offered the same thing, a return to his carefully controlled life. All he had to do was abandon his daughter. Tuesday morning brought a siege. Paparazzi surrounded Zara's hotel like hunters tracking prey. Telephoto lenses pressed against windows. Reporters shouted questions at anyone entering or leaving the building. A helicopter circled overhead, its cameras trained on the modest building where Tech's biggest scandal was hiding. "Mommy, I'm scared," Arya whispered, clutching her stuffed robot while sirens wailed outside. Someone had called in a fake bomb threat, forcing hotel evacuations that would provide perfect photo opportunities. Zara's hands shook as she packed their suitcase. They needed to leave, but 30 reporters blocked every exit. Hotel security was overwhelmed. The manager apologetically explained that other guests were complaining about the media circus. Her phone buzzed. "Unknown number. Don't answer," she told herself, but something made her pick up. "It's Marcus." His voice was tight with stress. "Are you safe?" "Define safe." "I'm outside in an unmarked car. Service entrance. 5 minutes." "Why would you?" "Because no child should be trapped like an animal." 5 minutes. Zara grabbed Arya and their belongings, her heart pounding as they navigated hotel corridors filled with curious guests and security guards. The service entrance opened to reveal a black SUV with tinted windows. Marcus sat in the passenger seat, wearing a baseball cap and sunglasses like a celebrity trying to disappear. "Get in," he said simply. The drive was silent except for Arya's whispered questions. "Where are we going? Is that man really my daddy? Why are people taking pictures of us?" Marcus kept glancing in the rearview mirror, his jaw clenched with protective instincts he didn't understand. His child, shouldn't be hunted by strangers with cameras. They pulled into an underground garage beneath a nondescript building in Pacific Heights. An elevator rose to the top floor, opening onto a spacious apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the bay. "Safe house," Marcus explained. "The company keeps it for executives who need privacy. No one knows about this place." Arya immediately ran to the windows, pressing her face against the glass. "Wow, look how high we are." "Careful, baby," Zara said automatically, then caught herself. They were in Marcus's world now, accepting his protection. The dynamic felt strange and vulnerable. "She can't fall," Marcus said quietly. "The glass is reinforced, built to withstand earthquakes." "Like everything else in your life," Zara muttered. They stood in awkward silence, watching Arya explore the apartment with 7-year-old wonder. She discovered the smart home controls, giggling when lights responded to her voice. She found the kitchen's touchscreen refrigerator fascinating. Everything here was designed for convenience and control, so different from their small Boston apartment. "Why are you helping us?" Zara asked. Marcus was quiet for a long moment, watching Arya try to figure out how the voice-activated television worked. "Because when I saw her scared face in that hotel room on the news, something inside me broke. She's not a publicity stunt, Marcus. She's not a business deal you can control." "I know," he said, and for the first time since she'd known him, Marcus Blackwood sounded uncertain. "I'm beginning to understand that." 3 days in the safe house created an unexpected rhythm. Marcus worked from the apartment's home office while Zara and Arya adjusted to their temporary sanctuary. The media storm continued outside, but inside these walls, something fragile and new was taking shape. Arya had claimed the living room's smart coffee table as her homework station, spreading notebooks and pencils across its glass surface. When she struggled with a math problem, Marcus found himself drifting over to help. "I don't understand fractions," she said, tapping her pencil against the table in a gesture that reminded him of his own childhood habits. "They're just pieces of a whole," Marcus explained, sitting beside her. "Like if you had a pizza and cut it into 8 slices, each slice would be 1/8 of the pizza. But why can't we just say 1 slice of pizza? Why do we need fractions?" Her question was so practical, so logical, that Marcus laughed, a genuine sound that surprised all 3 of them. Because mathematicians like to make things complicated. That's silly, Arya pronounced. Math should be simple. Most things should be simple, Marcus agreed, catching Zara's surprised look across the room. That evening, Arya discovered Marcus's laptop and became fascinated by his AI development software. While Zara prepared dinner in the ultra-modern kitchen, father and daughter huddled over lines of code. What does this part do? Arya asked, pointing at the screen. It teaches the computer to recognize patterns, Marcus explained. Like how you learned to recognize letters before you could read words. So the computer is like a baby learning to think. Exactly. Marcus was amazed by her intuitive grasp of complex concepts. You understand this better than most adults. Can I make the computer say something? Marcus showed her how to input simple commands. When hello, Arya, appeared on the screen in response to her typing, she clapped with delight. I taught it my name. Watching them together, Zara felt her carefully constructed walls beginning to crack. This wasn't the cold, calculating Marcus she'd divorced. This was someone she'd never seen before, patient, gentle, genuinely interested in a child's questions. During dinner, Arya chattered about her school, her friends, her favorite books. Marcus listened with the focused attention of someone discovering a new world. When she mentioned wanting to build robots someday, his eyes lit up. I have a robotics lab at my company, he said. Maybe you could visit sometime. Really, Arya's excitement was infectious. Can I bring Tommy? He likes robots too. Tommy, my best friend. His mom works 2 jobs, so he stays with us sometimes. Marcus glanced at Zara, beginning to understand the community she'd built. People helping each other, sharing resources, creating family from friendship. Sure, he said quietly. Tommy can come too. For the first time in years, Marcus Blackwood was learning what it meant to put someone else's happiness before his own image. Friday morning shattered their fragile peace like glass hitting concrete. Marcus woke to his phone buzzing with emergency alerts from his security team, his legal counsel, and his board directors. The headline on TechCrunch made his blood freeze. Exclusive: Blackwood's baby mama has criminal past. Victoria's family had unleashed their private investigators like attack dogs. The article detailed Zara's parents' deaths, twisting the tragic car accident into a story about suspicious circumstances. It mentioned her struggle with depression after the divorce, implying mental instability. It highlighted every late payment, every small debt, every moment of financial hardship as evidence of her desperation. But the worst part was the photos. Someone had followed them to the safe house. Images of Arya playing by the windows, of Marcus helping with homework, of their tentative family moments, all captured through telephoto lenses and sold to the highest bidder. How do they find us? Zara demanded, her voice shaking with rage as she read the article on her phone. Marcus was already on the phone with his security chief, his face dark with fury. I don't care what it costs. Find the leak. Now. Victoria appeared on the apartment's security monitor, standing in a lobby with a team of lawyers and PR specialists. She'd come for the final confrontation, ready to end this threat to her future once and for all. Don't let her up, Zara said quickly. I have to face this, Marcus replied. She's not going to stop until she destroys you completely. The elevator doors opened to reveal Victoria in attack mode. Perfectly styled, legally armed, and absolutely ruthless. Her entourage spread across the living room like an occupying army. Enough games, Marcus, she announced. The board is meeting in 2 hours to discuss your removal as CEO. 3 major investors have pulled funding. Your company is hemorrhaging money because you're playing house with a gold digger and her bastard child. Arya looked up from her coloring book, her 7-year-old mind processing the ugly word without understanding its cruelty. Watch your mouth, Marcus said, his voice deadly quiet. Or what? You'll defend your fake family's honor. Victoria laughed coldly. Look at the evidence, Marcus. She waited 7 years to contact you. She shows up at your wedding for maximum publicity. She's already fielding offers from book publishers and documentary filmmakers. That's not true, Zara protested. Isn't it? Victoria's lead attorney produced a thick folder. Publishing contract offers, movie rights inquiries, interview requests worth millions. sitting on a gold mine of victim narrative, aren't you? The accusation hit Zara like a physical blow. Yes, the offers had come. Yes, some were lucrative, but she'd refused them all, protecting Arya's privacy over financial gain. Marcus studied the documents, his face unreadable. For a moment, Zara saw the old Marcus return, the calculating businessman who trusted contracts more than words. Choose now, Victoria continued. Sign this custody waiver, stating you have no parental rights or intentions. Return to our life, our plans, our future, or lose everything you've built to chase a fantasy that will destroy you. Arya tugged on Marcus's sleeve. Daddy, why is the mean lady yelling? The word daddy hung in the air like a challenge. Victoria's face twisted with disgust. Marcus's lawyers shifted uncomfortably. The entire future balanced on how he would respond to that innocent question. Marcus looked down at Arya, his daughter calling him daddy for the first time, and felt something fundamental shift inside his chest. Not the calculated emotion of a business deal, but something raw and protective and absolutely certain. The mean lady is leaving, he said gently, then stood to face Victoria with steel in his voice. All of you, get out. Marcus, think about what you're throwing away, Victoria pleaded, her perfect composure finally cracking. Your company, your reputation, everything we've built together. We haven't built anything, he said quietly. We just posed for photographs and attended parties. That's not a life. That's not love. That's just expensive theater. Victoria's legal team exchanged glances. This wasn't going according to their script. The board meeting, one lawyer began. Let them meet, Marcus interrupted. Let them vote. Let them try to remove me from the company I built from nothing. But they won't do it because of a child who deserves to know her father. He walked to his laptop, opened his social media accounts, and began typing while Victoria watched in horror. What are you doing? Telling the truth. Marcus posted simultaneously across all platforms. A simple statement that would change everything. 7 years ago, I made the biggest mistake of my life. I divorced an incredible woman who had supported my dreams, and I never knew she was carrying my daughter. Today I met Arya for the first time, and she's the most amazing person I've ever encountered. I am her father, and I will spend the rest of my life earning the right to that title. To the media, leave my family alone. To my board, if you can't support a CEO who puts his child first, find someone else. To Victoria, I wish you happiness, but not with me. And to Zara, I'm sorry it took me 7 years to grow up. He attached a photo, the three of them doing homework together, Arya grinning while explaining fractions to her confused father. The post went viral within minutes. Victoria stared at her phone as notifications exploded across her screen. Comments poured in, some supportive, some critical, but all acknowledging that Marcus Blackwood had just committed corporate suicide for a 7-year-old girl. You're insane, Victoria whispered. You've destroyed everything. No, Marcus said, looking at Arya and Zara. I've finally found everything. Victoria and her team left without another word, their legal threats suddenly meaningless against a man who'd chosen vulnerability over victory. Marcus's phone rang immediately. His board chair, his biggest investors, his PR team, everyone demanding explanations for his public confession. He turned off the phone. Are you really my daddy now? Arya asked, still coloring but watching him carefully. If you want me to be, Marcus said, kneeling beside her chair. I know I have a lot to learn about being a father, but I'd like to try. Can you teach me more about computers? Every day. Can we get pizza for dinner? Marcus laughed, the sound echoing through the apartment like music. We can get pizza every day if you want. That would be silly, Arya said seriously. Pizza is for special days. Today feels pretty special though. Looking at his daughter smile, Marcus realized she was absolutely right. 1 week after Marcus's public declaration, the media attention had shifted from scandal to fascination. The tech world watched in amazement as their golden boy traded board meetings for bedtime stories, company presentations for parent-teacher conferences, Marcus officially introduced himself to Aria's second-grade class via video call, answering their questions about artificial intelligence with the patience of someone who discovered that 7-year-olds asked better questions than venture capitalists. Do robots dream? Asked a boy named Tommy, Aria's best friend she'd mentioned. That's a really good question, Marcus replied seriously. What do you think dreams are for? Learning stuff while we sleep? Exactly. So maybe robots learn while they're charging. Aria beamed with pride, whispering to her classmates, "That's my daddy. He's really smart about computers." The simple declaration, "That's my daddy," meant more to Marcus than any magazine cover or business award ever had. But the real work was happening in quieter moments. Marcus had moved them to a proper apartment near Aria's school, furnished with a child's needs in mind. Art supplies, books, a computer station where father and daughter worked on simple programming projects together. "Why did you and mommy stop being married?" Aria asked one evening while they built a robot from a kit Marcus had brought home. The question every divorced parent dreaded, made more complicated by their unique circumstances. "Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes," Marcus said carefully. "I wasn't ready to be a good husband or father back then. I care more about work than about people. But you're ready now? I'm trying to be, learning to be. Your mom is helping me understand what's really important." Zara watched from the kitchen doorway, still processing this transformation. The Marcus she divorced had been incapable of admitting weakness, let alone asking for help. This version apologized when he made mistakes, listened when Aria corrected him, and seemed genuinely interested in becoming better rather than just appearing perfect. Their first official family dinner was at a modest restaurant Aria had chosen, a pizza place with arcade games and sticky floors. Marcus looked completely out of place in his expensive suit, but his smile was genuine as Aria demolished a pepperoni slice and explained the finer points of skee-ball strategy. "You have to aim for the corners," she instructed seriously. "The middle hole is too obvious." "Good strategy," Marcus agreed, trying to fold his pizza the way she'd shown him. "In business, we call that finding market inefficiencies." "That's a fancy way to say don't do what everyone else does," Aria replied. Zara nearly choked on her soda. "She's definitely your daughter." "She's definitely our daughter," Marcus corrected, and the word "our" hung between them. Not romantic, but hopeful. A recognition that they were building something new together, even if they couldn't rebuild what they'd lost. For the first time in 7 years, Zara allowed herself to believe that Aria might actually have the father she deserved. 3 weeks into their new routine, Aria woke up with a fever that quickly escalated into something terrifying. Her temperature spiked to 104 degrees. She struggled to breathe. Zara called 911, while Marcus paced their apartment like a caged animal, feeling helpless in a way that billions of dollars couldn't fix. Children's Hospital became their world. Aria lay in a bed that seemed enormous around her tiny frame, oxygen tubes in her nose for lines in her small arms. Pneumonia, the doctor said. Serious but treatable if they caught it in time. Marcus canceled everything. Board meetings, investor calls, product launches, none of it mattered when his daughter was fighting to breathe. He sat beside her bed for 3 straight days, holding her hand while she slept, reading her favorite books when she was awake enough to listen. "Daddy, are you going to leave?" Aria asked during one of her lucid moments, her voice barely a whisper. "Never," Marcus said firmly. "I'm staying right here until you're better. But don't you have important work stuff? Nothing is more important than you." Zara watched this interaction from the doorway, her heart breaking and healing simultaneously. She'd been awake for 60 hours straight, running on coffee and terror, but seeing Marcus's complete devotion to their daughter made every sleepless moment worth it. On the second night, Victoria appeared in the hospital hallway like a ghost from his former life. She looked perfectly put together despite the late hour, her designer clothes and flawless makeup a stark contrast to Marcus's rumpled shirt and unshaven face. "The board is threatening a hostile takeover," she said without preamble. "Investors are calling your behavior erratic. You're going to lose everything." Marcus didn't look up from Aria's sleeping form. Good. Marcus, they're dismantling your empire while you play father to a child who barely knows you. She knows me well enough to call me daddy. That's more than anyone at the company has ever given me. Victoria stepped closer, lowering her voice. This is your last chance. Come back now. Show the board you're still capable of prioritizing business over personal drama. And we can rebuild what we had. What we had was nothing, Marcus said quietly. Two people using each other for social advancement. I'd rather have 3 days of being a real father than 3 more years of being a fake husband. You're throwing away billions for a fantasy. I'm choosing my daughter over money. If that seems insane to you, then we never understood each other at all. Victoria left without another word, taking with her the last remnant of Marcus's old life. That night, Aria's fever broke. She opened her eyes and smiled at her father. You stayed. I told you I would. Even though you had important meetings, especially because I had important meetings. This is the most important meeting of my life. Aria squeezed his hand with surprising strength. I love you, Daddy. I love you too, sweetheart. More than you'll ever know. Outside the hospital room, Zara wept quietly, not from sadness, but from relief. Aria had her father at last. Marcus's company attempted the hostile takeover while he sat in a hospital room reading Charlotte's Web to his recovering daughter. The board of directors, encouraged by Victoria's family and several major investors, called an emergency meeting to remove him as CEO. They underestimated both Marcus's legal protections and public opinion. His social media posts from the hospital, photos of Aria sleeping peacefully, updates on her recovery, heartfelt thanks to the medical staff, had transformed him from tech titan to devoted father in the public eye. #Daddy first began trending. Parents worldwide shared their own stories of choosing family over career advancement. Marcus live-streamed the board meeting from Aria's hospital room, his daughter coloring quietly beside him while he addressed the camera. 3 weeks ago, I discovered I had a daughter, he began, his voice steady despite the exhaustion in his eyes. Today, some people think I should choose money over her well-being. They're wrong. He held up Aria's latest drawing, a stick-figure family holding hands under a rainbow. This is my daughter's vision of our future. She drew it this morning while recovering from pneumonia. It's worth more than every contract, every stock option, every business deal I've ever made. Aria looked up from her coloring. Is this the important meeting, Daddy? The most important one ever, Marcus replied, then addressed the camera again. I'm not stepping down as CEO. I'm evolving as a leader. Companies that can't support executives who prioritize their children's health are companies that don't deserve to exist. The live stream went viral immediately. Comments poured in from employees, customers, and competitors. Overwhelming support for Marcus's stance. Several board members publicly reversed their positions during the meeting itself, unwilling to be seen as opposing a father's dedication to his sick child. By the end of the week, Marcus's company stock had recovered all its losses and reached new highs. 3 major publications offered him cover stories. Harvard Business School requested a case study on authentic leadership in crisis, but the real validation came from unexpected sources. Aria's second-grade teacher sent a video message from her class. 27 children holding signs reading, "Get well soon, Aria, and best daddy ever." Tommy's mother baked cookies shaped like robots. The hospital staff created a special Daddy of the Year certificate signed by every nurse and doctor who'd witnessed Marcus's bedside vigil. Zara found herself giving her first interview, not to a tabloid or gossip show, but to a parenting magazine about co-parenting after divorce. He's not the same man I married, she said honestly. He's better. He's learned that being powerful means protecting the people you love, not controlling them. When asked if they might reconcile romantically, Zora smiled. We're building something better than what we had before. We're building a family based on respect instead of passion, partnership instead of possession. Marcus Blackwood had lost a fiancée, faced down his board, and risked his empire. In return, he gained everything that actually mattered.